Section 2 of the Golden Gems of Life. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Golden Gems of Life by Emery Adams Allen and S.C. Ferguson. Section 2. Home. Home is the resort of love, of joy, of peace and plenty, where supporting and supported polished friends and dear relations mingle into bliss. Home. That word touches every fiber of the soul and strikes every chord of the human heart with its angelic fingers. Nothing but death can break its spell. What tender associations are linked with home? What pleasing images and deep emotions it awakens! It calls up the fondest memories of life and opens in our nature the purest, deepest, richest gush of consecrated thought and feeling. To the little child, home is his world. He knows no other. The father's love, the mother's smile, the sister's embrace, the brother's welcome throw about his home a heavenly halo and make it as attractive to him as the home of angels. Home is the spot where the child pours out all his complaint, and it is the grave of all his sorrows. Childhood has its sorrows and its grievances, but home is the place where these are soothed and banished by the sweet lullaby of a fond mother's voice. Ask the man of mature years whose brow is furrowed by care, whose mind is engrossed in business. Ask him, what is home? He will tell you, it is a place of rest, a haven of content, where loved ones relieve him of the burden of his everyday life, too heavy to be continuously borne, from whence, refreshed and invigorated, he goes forth to do battle again. Ask the lone wanderer as he plods his weary way, bent with the weight of years and white with the frosts of age. Ask him what is home. He will tell you it is a green spot in memory, an oasis in the desert, a center about which the fondest recollection of his grief-oppressed heart clings with all the tenacity of youth's first love. It was once a glorious, a happy reality, but now it rests only as an image of the mind. Wherever the heart wanders, it carries the thought of home with it. Wherever by the rivers of Babylon the heart feels its loss and loneliness, it hangs its harp upon the willows and weeps. It prefers home to its chief joy. It will never forget it, for there swelled its first throb, there were developed its first affections, there a mother's eye looked into it, there a father's prayer blessed it, and there the love of parents and brothers and sisters gave it precious entertainment. There bubbled up from unseen fountains life's first effervescing hopes. There life took form and consistence. From that center went out all its young ambition. Towards that focus return its concentrating memories. There it took form and fitted itself to loving natures, and it will carry that impress wherever it may go, unless it becomes polluted by sin or makes to itself another home sanctified by a new and more precious affection. There is one vision that never fades from the soul, and that is the vision of mother and of home. No man in all his weary wanderings ever goes out beyond the overshadowing arch of home. Let him stand on the surf-beaten coast of the Atlantic, or roam over western wilds, and every dash of the wave or murmur of the breeze will whisper, "Home, sweet home." Let him down amid the glaciers of the north, and even there thoughts of home, too warm to be chilled by the eternal frosts, will float in upon him. Let him rove through the green waving groves and over the sunny slopes of the south, and in the smile of the soft skies, and in the kiss of the balmy breeze, home will live again. Let prosperity reward his every exertion, and wealth and affluence bring round him all the luxury of the earth, and yet in his marble palace will rise unforbidden the vision of his childhood's home. Let misfortune overtake him, let poverty be his portion, and hunger press him, still in troubled dreams will his thoughts revert to his olden home. If you wanted to gather up all tender memories, all lights and shadows of the heart, all banquetings and reunions, all filial, fraternal, paternal, conjugal affections, and had only just 4 letters to spell out all height and depth and length and breadth and magnitude and eternity of meaning, you would write it all out with the 4 letters that spell home. What beautiful and tender associations cluster thick around that word. Compared with it, wealth, mansion, palace are cold, heartless terms. But home, that word quickens every pulse, warms the heart, stirs the soul to its depths, makes age feel young again, rouses apathy into energy, sustains the sailor in his midnight watch, inspires the soldier with courage on the field of battle, and imparts patient endurance to the worn-out sons of toil. The thought of it has proved a 7-fold shield to virtue. The very name of it has a spell to call back the wanderer from the path of vice. And far away where myrtles bloom and palm trees wave, and the ocean sleeps upon coral strands, to the exile's fond fancy it clothes the naked rock or stormy shore, or barren moor, or wild height and mountain, with charms he weeps to think of, and longs once more to see. Every home should be as a city, set on a hill that cannot be hid. Into it should flock friends and friendship, bringing the light of the world, the stimulus and the modifying power of contact with various natures, the fresh flowers of feeling gathered from wide fields. Out of it should flow benign charities, pleasant amenities, and all those influences which are the natural offspring of a high and harmonious home life. The home is the fountain of civilization. Our laws are made in the home. The things said there give bias to character far more than do sermons and lectures, newspapers and books. No other audience are so susceptible and receptive as those gathered around the table and fireside. No other teachers have the acknowledged and divine right to instruct that is granted without challenge to parents. The foundation of our national life is under their hand. They can make it send forth waters, bitter or sweet, for the death or the healing of the people. The influences of home perpetuate themselves. The gentle graces of the mother live in the daughter long after her head is pillowed in the dust of death. And the fatherly kindness finds its echoes in the nobility and character of sons who come to wear his mantle and fill his place. While on the other hand, from an unhappy, misgoverned, and ill-ordered home, go forth persons who shall make other homes miserable and perpetuate the sorrows and sadness, the contentions and strifes which have made their own early lives miserable. In every proper sense in which home can be considered, it is a powerful stimulant to noble actions and a high and pure morality. So valuable is this love of home that every man should cherish it as the apple of his eye, as he values his own moral worth, as he prizes his country, the peace and happiness of the world, yea, more, as he values the immortal interests of man. He should cherish and cultivate a strong and abiding love of home. Home has voices of experience and hearts of genuine holy love to instruct you in the way of life, and to save you from a sense of loneliness as you gradually discover the selfishness of mankind. Home has its trials, in which are imaged forth the stern struggles of your after years, that your character may gain strength and manifestation, for which purpose they are necessary. They open the portals of his heart, that the jewels otherwise concealed in its hidden depths may shine forth and shed their luster on the world. Home has its duties, to teach you how to act on your own responsibilities. Home gradually and greatly increases its burdens, so that you may acquire strength to endure without being overtasked. Home is a little world in which the duties of the great world are daily rehearsed. He who has no home has not the sweetest pleasures of life. He feels not the thousand endearments that cluster around that hallowed spot to fill the void of his aching heart, and while away his leisure moments in the sweetest of life's enjoyments. Is misfortune your lot, you will find a friendly welcome from hearts beating true to your own. The chosen partner of your toil has a smile of approbation when others have deserted you, a hand of hope when all others refuse, and a heart to feel your sorrows as her own. No matter how humble that home may be, how destitute its stores, or how poorly its inmates may be clad, if true hearts dwell there, it is still a home. Of all places on earth, home is the most delicate and sensitive. Its springs of action are subtle and secret. Its chords move with a breath. Its fires are kindled with a spark. Its flowers are bruised with the least rudeness. The influences of our homes strike so directly on our hearts that they make sharp impressions. In our intercourse with the world we are barricaded, and the arrows let fly at our hearts are warded off. But not so with us at home. Here our hearts wear no covering, no armor. Every arrow strikes them. Every cold wind blows full upon them. Every storm beats against them. What in the world we would pass by in sport, in our homes would wound us to the quick. Very little can we bear at home, for it is a sensitive place. If we would have a true home, we must guard well our thoughts and actions. A single bitter word may disquiet the home for a whole day. But like unexpected flowers which spring up along our path full of freshness, fragrance, and beauty, so do kind words and gentle acts and sweet disposition make glad the home where peace and blessing dwell. No matter how humble the abode, if it be thus garnished with grace and sweetened by kindness and smiles, the heart will turn lovingly towards it from all the tumults of the world, and home, be it ever so humble, will be the dearest spot under the sun. There is no happiness in life, there is no misery, like that growing out of the disposition which consecrates or desecrates a home. He is happiest, be he king or peasant, who finds peace at home. Home should be made so truly home that the weary, tempted heart could turn towards it anywhere on the dusty highways of life and receive light and strength. It should be the sacred refuge of our lives, whether rich or poor. The affections and loves of home are graceful things, especially among the poor. The ties that bind the wealthy and proud to home may be forged on earth, but those which link the poor man to his humble hearth are those of the true metal and bear the stamp of heaven. These affections and loves constitute the poetry of human life, and so far as our present existence is concerned, with all the domestic relations, are worth more than all other social ties. They give the first throb to the heart and unseal the deep fountains of its love. Homes are not made up of material things. It is not a fine house, rich furniture, a luxurious table, a flowery garden, and a superb carriage that make a home. Vastly superior to this is a true home. Our ideal home should be heart homes, in which virtue lives and love flowers bloom, and peace offerings are daily brought to its altars. It is made radiant within with every social virtue, and beautiful without by those simple adornments with which nature is everywhere so prolific. The children born in such homes will leave them with regret, and come back to them in afterlife as pilgrims to a holy shrine. The towns on whose hills and in whose vales such homes are found will live forever in the hearts of its grateful children. How easy it is to invest homes with true elegance, which resides not with the upholsterer or draper. It exists in the spirit, presiding over the apartments of the dwelling. Contentment must be always most graceful. It sheds serenity over the scenes of its abode. It transforms a waste into a garden. The house lighted by those imitations of a nobler and brighter life may be wanting much which the discontented may desire, but to its inhabitants it will be a palace far outvying the Oriental in beauty. There is music in the word home. To the old it brings a bewitching strain from the harp of a memory. To the middle-aged it brings up happy thoughts, while to the young it is a reminder of all that is near and dear to them. Our hearts turn with unchangeable love and longing to the dear old home which sheltered us in childhood. Kind friends may beckon us to newer scenes, and loving hearts may bind us fast to other pleasant homes. But we love to return to the home of our childhood. It may be old and rickety to the eyes of strangers. The windows may have been broken and patched long ago, and the floor worn through. But it is still the old home from out of which we looked at life with hearts full of hope, building castles which faded long ago. Here we watched life come and go. Here we folded still, cold hands over hearts as still, that once beat full of love for us. Even as the sunbeam is composed of millions of minute rays, the home life must be constituted of little tendernesses, kind looks, sweet laughter, gentle words, loving counsels. It must not be like the torch blaze of natural excitement which is easily quenched, but like the serene, chastened light which burns as safely in the dry east wind as in the stillest atmosphere. Let each bear the other's burden the while. Let each cultivate the mutual confidence which is a gift capable of increase and improvement, and soon it will be found that kindness will spring up on every side, displacing unsuitability, want of mutual knowledge, even as we have seen sweet violets and primroses dispelling the gloom of the gray sea rocks. The sweetest type of heaven is home. Nay, heaven itself is the home for whose acquisition we are to strive most strongly. Home in one form or another is the great object of life. It stands at the end of every day's labor and beckons us to its bosom, and life would be cheerless and meaningless did we not discern across the river that divides it from the life beyond glimpses of the pleasant mansions prepared for us. Yes, heaven is the home towards which those who have lived aright direct their steps when wearied by the toils of life. There, the members of the homes on earth, separated here, will meet again to part no more. End of section 2.
Section 3 of the Golden Gems of Life. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Bob Klingerman. The Golden Gems of Life by Emery Adams Allen and S.C. Ferguson. Section 3. The Home Circle. The home circle may be, ought to be, the most delightful place on earth, the center of the purest affections and most desirable associations as well as of the most attractive and exalted beauties to be found this side of paradise. Nothing can excel in beauty and sublimity the quietude, peace, harmony, affection, and happiness of a well-ordered family, where virtue is nurtured and every good principle fostered and sustained. The home circle is a nursery of affection. It is the Eden of young attachments, and here should be planted and tended all the germs of love, every seed that shall ever sprout in the heart, and how carefully should they be tended, how guarded against the frosts of jealousy, anger, envy, pride, vanity, and ambition, how rooted in the best soil of the heart, and nourished and cultivated by the soul's best husbandry. Here is the heart's garden. Its sunshine and flowers are here. All its beautiful, all its lovely things are here. And here should be expended care, toil, effort, patience, and whatever may be necessary to make them still more lovely. It is around the memories of the home circle that cluster the happiest and sometimes the saddest of the recollections of youth. There is a thought of brother and sister, perhaps now gone forever, of childish sorrow and grief, of the mother's prayer and the father's blessing. Do you wonder what these memories, both bitter and sweet, linger in the chambers of the mind long after those of the busy years of maturity have faded away before the approach of age? With what assiduity ought all who have arrived at the years of maturity strive to make their homes pleasant, and especially is this true of parents, so that its members, when they go from thence, will carry with them thoughts that through all the weary years that are before them will afford a pleasant retreat for them when well nigh wearied with the care which comes with increasing years. We cannot honor with too deep a reverence the home affections. We cannot cultivate them with too great a care. We cannot cherish them with too much solicitude. There is the center of our present happiness, the springs of our deepest and strongest tides of joy. When the home affections are duly cultivated, all others follow or grow out of them as a natural consequence. If any would have fervent and noble affections, such as give power and glory to the human heart, such as sanctify the soul and make it supremely beautiful, such as an angel might covet without shame, let him cultivate all the feelings that originate as from a radiant point in the home circle. The true flower of home love requires for its development the aid of every member of the home circle. The tears of sympathy, as well as the sunshine of domestic affection, bring it to its glorious maturity. Ofttimes there are families, the members of which are, without doubt, dear to each other. If sickness or sudden trouble fall on one, all are afflicted, and make haste to help and sympathize and comfort. But in their daily life and ordinary intercourse, there is not only no expression of affection, none of the pleasant and fond behavior that has, perhaps, little dignity, but which more than makes up for that in its sweetness. But there is an absolute hardness of language and actions which is shocking to every sensitive and tender feeling. Between father and mother, brother and sister, ofttimes pass rough and hasty words, and sometimes angry words, even more frequently than words of endearment. To judge from their actions, they do not appear to love each other, nor does it seem to have occurred to them that it is their duty, as it should be their best pleasure, to do and say all that they possibly can for each other's good and happiness. It is in the home circle where we form many, if not the most, of our habits, both of action and speech. These habits we carry into the world. They cling to us. The vulgarities which we use at home we shall use abroad, the coarse sayings, the low jest, the vulgar speeches, the grammatical blunders. All the lingual imperfections which go to form a part of our home conversation will enter into our conversation at all times and in all places. The home circle should be held too sacred to be polluted with the vulgarities of languages which could have originated nowhere but in low and groveling minds. It should be dedicated to love and truth, to all that is tender in feeling and noble and pure in thought, to holiest communion of soul with soul. In order that such a communion may be enjoyed, it is requisite that language should there perform its most sacred office, even the office of transmitting unimpaired the most tender and sacred affections that glow in the human heart. If the dialects of angels could be used on earth, its fittest place would be with the home circle. The language of home should be such as would not stain the purest lips, nor fall harshly on the most refined ear. It should abound in words of wisdom, which are at once the glory of youth and the honor of age. The home circle, what tender associations does it recall? How deeply interwoven are its golden filaments with all the fiber of our affectionate natures, forming the glittering of the heart's golden life. Here are father, mother, child, brother, sister, companions, all the heart loves, all that makes earth lovely, all that enriches the mind with faith and the soul with hope. What language is most fitting for home use, to bear the messages of home feeling, to be freighted with the diamond treasure of home hearts? Should it be any other than the most refined and pure? Any other than that breathing the sacred charity of affection? Home is the great seating place of every affection that ever grows in the heart. Hence all should tend well to it, watch, prune, and cultivate with all prudence and wisdom, with all fervency of spirit. Let the music of the heart swell its notes here in one perpetual anthem of goodwill. Let praise and prayer and fervent good wishes and words and works hallow its sacred shrine. Let offices of love go round like smiles at a feast of joy. Let the whole soul devote its energies to making happy its home, and its rewards will be great. If there be any tie formed in life which ought to be securely guarded from anything which can put it in peril, it is that which unites the members of a family. If there be a spot upon earth from which discord and strife should be banished, it is the fireside. There center the fondest hopes and the most tender affections. The great lever by which the heart is moved is love. It is the basis of all true excellence, of all excellent thought. How pleasing the spectacle of that home circle which is governed by the spirit of love! Each one strives to avoid giving offense, and is studiously considerate of the other's happiness. Sweet, loving dispositions are cultivated by all, and each tries to surpass the other in his efforts for the common harmony. Each heart glows with love, and the benediction of heavenly peace seems to abide upon that dwelling with such power that no storm of passion is able to arise. There is no pleasanter sight than that of a family of young folks who are quick to perform little acts of attention towards their elders. The placing of the big armchair for the mother, or kindly errands done for the father, and scores of little deeds show the tender sympathy of gentle, loving hearts. Parents should show their appreciation to these kindly acts. If they do not indicate they are appreciated, the habit is soon dropped. Little children are imitative creatures, and quickly catch the spirit surrounding them. So, if the father shows kindly attention to the mother, bright eyes will see the act, and quick minds will make a note of it. By example, much more than by precept, can children be taught to speak kindly to each other, to acknowledge favors, to be gentle and unselfish, to be thoughtful and considerate of the comfort of the family. The boys, with inward pride of the father's courteous demeanor, will be chivalrous and helpful to their sisters, and the girls, imitating the mother, will be patient and gentle, even when brothers are noisy and heedless. In the homes where true courtesy prevails, it seems to meet you on the threshold. You feel the kindly welcome on entering. No angry voices are heard upstairs, no sullen children are sent from the room, no peremptory orders are given to cover the delinquencies of housekeeping or servants. A delightful atmosphere pervades the house, unmistakable yet indescribable. Such a house, filled by the spirit of love, is a home indeed, to all who enter within its consecrated walls. Members of the home circle lose nothing by mutual politeness. On the contrary, by maintaining not only its forms, but by inward cultivation of its spirit, they become contributors to that domestic feeling which is in itself a foretaste of heaven. The good night and the good morning salutation, though they may seem but trifles, have a sweet and softening influence on all of its members. The little kiss and artless good night of the smaller ones as they retire to rest have in them a heavenly melody. Children are the pride and ornament of the family circle. They create sport and amusement and dissipate all sense of loneliness from the household. When intelligent and well-trained, they afford a spectacle which even indifferent persons contemplate with satisfaction and delight. Still, these pleasurable emotions are not unalloyed with solicitude. It is an agreeable but changeable picture of human happiness. Time in advancing carries them forward, and ere long they will feel like exclaiming with the older and more sad and serious ones around them that their youth exists only in remembrance. There is probably not an unpolluted man or woman living who does not feel that the sweetest consolations and best rewards of life are found in the loves and delights of home. There are very few who do not feel themselves indebted to the influence that clustered around their cradles for whatever good there may be in their character and condition. The influence proceeding from the home circle is either a blessing or a curse, either for good or for evil. It cannot be neutral. In either case it is mighty, commencing with our birth, going with us through life, clinging to us in death, and reaching into the eternal world. It is that unitive power which arises out of the manifold relations and associations of domestic life. The specific influence of husband and wife, of parent and child, of brother and sister, of teacher and pupil, united and harmoniously blended, constitute the home influence. From this we may infer the character of a home influence. It is great, silent, irresistible, and permanent. Like the calm, deep stream, it moves on in silent but overwhelming power. It strikes root deep into the human heart and spreads its branches wide over our whole being. Like the lily that braves the tempest, and the alpine flower that leans its cheek on the bosom of eternal snow, it is exerted amid the wildest scenes of life, and breathes a softening spell in our bosom, even when a heartless world is freezing up the fountains of our sympathy and love. It is governing, restraining, attracting, and traditional. It holds the empire of the heart and rules the life. It restrains the wayward passions of the child and checks the man in his mad career of ruin. But all pictures of earthly happiness are transient in duration. Where can you find an unbroken home circle? The time must soon come, if it has not already, when you must part from those who have surrounded the same parental board, who mingled with you in the gay-hearted joys of childhood and the opening promise of youth. New cares will attend you in new situations, and the relations you form and the business you pursue may call you far from the play place of your youth. In the unseen future, your brothers and sisters may be sundered from you, your lives may be spent apart, and in death you may be divided, and of you it may be said, "They grew in beauty side by side, they filled one home with glee." Their graves are severed far and wide, by mount and stream and sea. End of Section 3.
Section 4 of the Golden Gems of Life. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Golden Gems of Life by Emery Adams Allen and S.C. Ferguson. Section 4. Father and Mother. How can children repay parents for their watchings, anxieties, labours, toils, trials, patience, and love? Think of the utter helplessness of the long years of infancy, of the entire dependence of succeeding childhood, of the necessities and wants of youth, of the burning solicitude of parents and their deep and inexhaustible love. Think of the long years of unwearied toil, of their deep and soul-felt devotion to the interests of their offspring, of the majesty and matchless power of their unselfish affections. And then say whether it is possible for youth to repay too much love and gratitude for all this bestowal of parental anxiety. Oh, what thankfulness should fill every child's heart! What a glorious return of love! Every day should they give them some token of love. Every hour should their own hearts glow with gratitude and holy respect for those who have given them being and loved them so fervently and long. Nothing will so warm and quicken all the affections of the parent's heart as such respect. Who feels like trusting an ungrateful child? Who can believe that his affection for any object can be firm and pure? The object who has loved long and well his parents, has thoroughly electrified his affections, has surcharged them with the sweet spirit of an affectionate tenderness, which will pervade his entire heart, and will make him better and purer for ever. The affections of such a child are to be trusted. As well may one doubt an angel as such a one. There is always a liability where sons and daughters have gone from the home of their childhood, and have formed homes of their own, gradually to lose the old attachments and cease to pay those attentions to parents which were so easy and natural in the olden time. New associations, new thoughts, new cares all come in, filling the mind and heart, and if special pains be not taken, they thrust out the old love. This ought never to be. Children should remember that the change is in them, and not with those they left behind. They have everything that is new, much that is attractive in the present and bright in the future. but the parents' hearts cling to the past, and have most in memory. When children go away, they know not, and never will know until they experience it themselves, what it cost to give them up, nor what a vacancy they left behind. The parents have not, if the children have, any new loves to take the place of the old. Do not, then, heartlessly deprive them of what you still can give of attention and love. If you live in the same place, let your step be, if possible, daily, a familiar one in the old home. Even when many miles away, make it your business to go to your parents. In this matter, do not regard time or expense. They are well spent, and some day when the word reaches you, flashed over the wires, that your father or mother is gone, you will not regret then the many hours of travel spent in going to them while they were yet alive. Keep up your intercourse with your parents. Do not deem it sufficient to write only when something important is to be told. Do not believe that to them no news is good news. If it be but a few lines, write them. Write, if it be only to say, I am well. If it be only to send the salutation which says they are dear, or the farewell which tells them that you are affectionate still. These little messages will be like caskets of jewels, and the tear that falls fondly over them would be treasures for you. Let every child having any pretence to heart, or manliness, or piety, and who is so fortunate as to have a father or mother living, consider it a sacred duty to consult, at any reasonable personal sacrifice, the known wishes of such a parent until that parent is no more, and, our word for it, the recollections of the same through the after pilgrimage of life will sweeten every sorrow, will brighten every gladness, will sparkle every teardrop with a joy ineffable. There is no period of life when our parents do not claim our attention, love, and warmest affections. From youth to manhood, from middle age to riper years, if our honoured parents survive, it should be our constant study how we can best promote their welfare and happiness, and smooth the pillow of their declining years. Nothing better recommends an individual than his attentions to his parents. There are some children whose highest ambition seems to be the promotion of their parents' interests. They watch over them with unwearied care, supply all their wants, and by their devotion and kindness remove all care and sorrow from their hearts. On the contrary, there are others who seem never to bestow a thought upon their parents, and to care but little whether they are comfortably situated or not. By their conduct they increase their cares, embitter their lives, and bring their grey hairs with sorrow to the grave. Selfishness has steeled their hearts to the whispers of affection, and avarice denies to their parents those favours which would materially assist them in the downhill of life. Others, too, by a course of profligacy and vice, have drained to the very dregs their parents' cup of happiness, and made them anxious for death to release them from their sufferings. How bitter must be the doom of those children who have thus embittered the lives of their best earthly friends. There can be no happier reflection than that derived from the thought of having contributed to the comfort and happiness of our parents. When called away from our presence, which sooner or later must happen, the thought will be sweet that our efforts and our care smoothed their declining years, and that they departed in comfort and peace. If we were otherwise, and we denied them what their circumstances and necessities required, and our hearts did not become like the nether millstone, our remorse must prove a thorn in our flesh, piercing us sharply, and filling our days with regret. There is an enduring tenderness in the love of a mother to her son that transcends all other affections of the heart. It is neither to be chilled by selfishness, weakened by worthlessness, nor stifled by ingratitude. She will sacrifice every comfort to his convenience. She will surrender every pleasure to his enjoyment. She will glory in his fame and exult in his prosperity. If misfortune overtake him, he will be the dearer to her from misfortune. And if disgrace settles upon his name, she will still love and cherish him in spite of his disgrace. If all the worlds besides cast him off, she will be all the world to him. A father may turn his back on his child, brothers and sisters may become inveterate enemies, husbands may desert their wives, wives their husbands, but a mother's love endures through all. In good repute, in bad repute, in the face of the world's condemnation, a mother still lives on, and still hopes that her child may turn from his evil ways and repent. She still remembers his infant smile, that ever filled her bosom with rapture, the merry laugh, the joyful shout of his childhood, the opening promise of his youth, and thinking of these, she never can be brought to think him all unworthy. Young man, speak kindly to your mother, and ever courteously and tenderly of her. But a little while, and you shall see her no more for ever. Her eye is dim, her form bent, and her shadow falls graveward. Others may love you when she has passed away, a kind sister perhaps, or she whom of all the world you chose for a partner. She may love you warmly, passionately. Children may love you fondly, but never again, never, while time is yours, shall the love of a woman be to you as that of your old, trembling mother has been. Alas, how little do we appreciate a mother's tenderness while living, how heedless we are in youth of all her anxious tenderness. But when she is dead and gone, when the cares and coldness of the world come withering to our hearts, when we experience how hard it is to find true sympathy, how few love us for ourselves, how few will befriend us in misfortune, then it is that we think of the mother we have lost. The loss of a parent is always felt. Even though age and infirmities may have incapacitated them from taking an active part in the cares of the family, still they are rallying points around which affection and obedience and 1,000 tender endeavours to please concentrate. They are like the lonely star before us. Neither its heat nor light are anything to us in themselves. Yet the shepherd would feel his heart sad if he missed it when he lifts his eye to the brow of the mountains over which it rises when the sun descends. Over the grave of a friend, of a brother or sister, we will plant the primrose, emblematical of youth, but over that of a mother we would let the green grass shoot up unmolested, for there is something in the simple covering which nature spreads upon the grave which well becomes the abiding place of decaying age. Oh, a mother's grave! It is indeed a sacred spot. It may be retired from the noise of business and unnoticed by the stranger, but to our heart, how dear! The love we should bear to a parent is not to be measured by years, nor annihilated by distance, nor forgotten when they sleep in dust. Marks of age may appear in our homes and on our persons, but the memory of a beloved parent is more enduring than that of time itself. Who has stood by the grave of a mother and not remembered her pleasant smiles, kind words, earnest prayer, and assurance expressed in a dying hour? Many years may have passed, memory may be treacherous in other things, but will reproduce with freshness the impressions once made by a mother's influence. Why may we not linger where rests all that was earthly of a beloved parent? It may have a restraining influence upon the wayward, prove a valuable incentive to increase faithfulness, encourage hope in the hour of depression, and give fresh inspiration to Christian life. The mother's love is indeed the golden cord which binds youth to age, and he is still but a child, however time may have furrowed his cheek or silvered his brow, who can yet recall with a softened heart the fond devotion or the gentle chidings of the best friend that God ever gave us. Round the idea of mother the mind of a man clings with fond affection. It is the first deep thought stamped upon our infant heart, and yet soft and capable of receiving the most profound impressions, and the after feelings of the world are more or less light in comparison. Even in old age we look back to that feeling as the sweetest we have known through life. Our passions and our wilfulness may lead us far from the object of our filial love. We may come even to pain their heart, to oppose their wishes, to violate their commands. We may become wild, headstrong, or angry at their counsels or oppositions. But when death has stilled their monitory voices, and nothing but silent memory remains to recapitulate their virtues and deeds, affection, like a flower broken to the ground by a past storm, lifts up her head and smiles away our tears. When the early period of our loss forces memory to be silent, fancy takes her place, and twines the image of our dead parents with a garland of graces, beauties, and virtues, which we doubt not they possessed. End of section 4.
Section 6 of the Golden Gems of Life. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Sarosha Thawasin Surakun from Bangkok, Thailand. The Golden Gems of Life by Emory Adam Allen and S.C. Ferguson. Section 6. Childhood. Childhood, after reason has begun his way, seemed to us the happiest season of life. It is also a critical period. At this time, they receive those impressions and contract those habits which impel them towards the good and true or towards the evil and false. The shy soul is without character. It is a rudimental existence, pale as the driven snow, beautiful as the cherub angel, spotless, guileless, and innocent. It is the shot of a man yet to be filled up with the elements of a character. These elements are first outlined by the parents. With what delicacy should they use to pencil or personal influence? The soul is soft, and the lines they make are deep and not easily erased. It is a man they form, responsible work. It is an immortal soul they work on, destined to survive the wreck of matter and crush old worlds, and to show in its character forever some disinterest, at least, for the work. Never believe anything that concerns children to be of no importance. A hasty word is of consequence. The little things that they see and hear about them mold them for eternity. Observe how very quick the shy eye is to perceive the meaning of looks, voices, and motions. It peruses all faces, colors, and sounds. Every sentiment that looks into his eye is reflected therefore, and placed in miniature or its countenance. The tear that steals down the cheek of a mother's suppressed grief gathers the little infantile face into a sob. With a wondering silence, it studies the mother in her prayers, and looks up with her in that exploring watch which signifies unspoken prayer. If the child be tended with impatience, or coolly, and with a lack of motherly gentleness, it straightway shows by its action that it too feels the sting of just that which is felt towards it, and that it is angered by anger, fretted by fretfulness, irritated by irritation, having impressed upon it just that kind of impatience or ill nature which is felt towards it, and growing faithfully into the bad mode as by a fixed law. However apparently trivial the influences which contribute to form the character of the child, they enter through life. Those impulses to conduct which last no longer and are rooted the deepest always have their origin near our birth. It is there that the germs of virtue or vice, or feeling or sentiment are first implanted which determine the character for life. It is in childhood that the mind is more open to impression and ready to be kindled by the first spark that fly into it. The first thing continues always with the child. The first joy, the first failure, the first achievement, the first misadventure paint the foreground of life. Influence is as quiet and imperceptible on the child's mind as the falling of snowflakes on the meadows. One cannot tell the hour when the human mind is not in the condition of receiving impression from exterior moral forces. In innumerable instances, the most secret and unnoticed influences have been in operation for months, and even years, to break down the strongest barrier of the human heart, and work out its moral ruin, while yet the founder parents and friends have been unaware of the working of such unseen agents of evil. Children are more easily led to be good by examples of loving kindness and tales of well-doing in others than threatened into obedience by records of sin, crime, and punishment. Then strive to impress on the child's mind sincerity, truth, honesty, benevolence, and their kindred virtue, and the welfare of your child, not only for this life, but for the life to come, will be assured. What a responsibility it is to form a creature, the frailest and feeblest that heaven has made, into the intelligent and fearless sovereign of the whole animated universe, the interpreter, adorer, and most representative of divinity. There is much mistaken kindness in the management of children. The law of love is great, but it showeth not its full strength. 7 united with kindness, make your children helpful and useful, and you make them happy. Let them early form habits of neatness, and when you are weary, you will not have to wait on their carelessness. Teach them to give you courteous speech and manners, and they will live to honor you. Take pains to have the home attraction stronger than can come from outside influences. It is a sad fact that few children confide in their parents. The parent must take an interest in them and draw them to their hearts instead of repelling them away. There is no mystery in attaching children to oneself. If you love them, they will love you. If you make much of them, they will make much of you. They can readily pick out the children's friend among many. They have a quick way of discerning who really love them and who care for them. Parents do not think how far a word of praise will oftentimes go with children. Praise is sunshine to a child, and there is no child who does not need it. It is the high reward of one's struggle to do right. Many a sensitive child hungers for commendation. Many a child starving for the praise which parents should give, run off eagerly after the designing flattery of others. To withhold praise where it is due is dishonest, and, in the case of a child, such a course often leaves a stinging sense of injustice. One may as well think to rear flowers in prose as to think of educating children successfully in rebuff and constant criticism. Judicious flattery is almost one of the necessities of existence with children. Indiscriminate flattery is, of course, bad. When it's become necessary to reprove children, use the gentlest form of address under the circumstances. Reproof must not fall like a violent storm, breaking down and making those to droop whom it is meant to cherish and refresh. It must descend as the dew upon the tender herb, or, like melting flakes of snow, the softer it falls, the longer it dwells upon, and the deeper it sinks into the mind. Never reprove the little one before strangers, for children are as sensitive, if not more so, than older persons, and wish strangers to think well of them. When reproved before anyone with whom they are not well acquainted, their vanity is wounded. They have self-respect, and such mortification of it is dangerous. Praise spurs a child on to earnest effort. Blame, when administered before visitors, takes away the power of doing well. It is the parent's duty to make their children's childhood full of love and childhood's proper joyousness. Not all the appliances that wealth can buy are necessary to the free and happy unfolding of childhood in body, mind, and heart. But children must have love inside the house, and fresh air and good play and companionship outside. Otherwise, young life runs the danger of withering and growing stunted, or, at best, prematurely old and turn it inward on itself. There is something in loving dependent children, in tender care of them, which bestows upon the soul the most enriching of its experience. They make us tender and sympathetic, and 1,000 times reward us for all we do for them. We are indebted to them for constant incentive to noble living, for the perpetual reminder that we do not live for ourselves alone. For their sake we are admonished to put from us the debasing appetite, the unworthy impulse to gather into our lives every noble and heroic quality, every tender and attractive grace. We owe them gratitude for the dark hour their presence has brightened it, for the helplessness and dependence which have won us from ourselves, for the faith and trust which it is evermore their mission to renew, for their kisses wet with tears, placed on brows that, but for their caressing, had furrowed into frowns. The gleeful laugh of happy children is the best home music, and the grateful figures of childhood are the best stationery. They are wellspring of pleasure, messengers of peace and love, resting places for innocent links between angels and men. Their eyes, those clear wells of undefiled thought. What is more beautiful, full of hope, love, and curiosity, than meet your own? In prayer, how earnest in joy, how sparkling in sympathy, how tender, The man or woman who never tried the companionship of a little child has carelessly passed by one of the greatest pleasures of life, as one passes a rare flower without plucking or knowing its value. It is like a lantern and no candle, a garden and no flowers, a vine and no grapes, a brook and no water glittering and gushing in its channels. Nature affords striking proofs of foresight and wisdom in making the bounds of parental sympathy so invincible, strong, and lasting. During childhood and youth, and even afterwards, when these charming epochs of life have passed away, the ties of constancy and attachment continue to prevail. Were not the cords of love thus strengthened, they would frequently be snapped asunder. For the surest trail which the world knows are those which assail the parental heart and pierce it with the deepest sorrows. How fleeting are the happiness and innocent guilelessness of childhood! The years as they come bring with them intelligence and experience, but they take with them, in their resistless course, the innocent pleasures of childhood's year. Then deal gently, patiently, and kindly with them. You may be nearly over the rough pathway of life yourselves. Make the only time of life that they can call happy as pleasant as possible. O children, says Madame de Staël, who are tenderly reared by us, are soon destined for others than ourselves. They soon stride rapidly forward in the career of life, while we fall slowly back. Then soon begin to regard their parents in the light of memory, and to look upon others in the light of hope. They will not trouble you long. Children grow up. Nothing on earth grows so fast as children. It was but yesterday and that lad was playing with tops. A buoyant boy, he is a man now. There is no more childhood for him or for us. Life has claimed him. When the beginning is made, it is like a revealing stocking, stitch by stitch give way till all are gone. The house has not a child left in it. There is no more noise in the hall, no boys rush in, pell-mell. It is very orderly now. There are no more skates or slates, bats, balls, or strings left scattered about. There are no more gleeful laugh of happy girls. There is no longer any task before you lie down. But the mother's heart is heavy, and the father's heart is lonely. End of chapter 6. Recording by Surosha Thawansun Surakun from Bangkok, Thailand.